Hey, let's do mental math. Find your notes that look like this, 122B, and let's get started. Okay, what is 3/4 of 16? What is 3/4 of 16? Next, what is, okay, I'm out of there, 9 times 507? What is 9 times 507? Okay, what is 10% of $2.50? What is 10% of $2.50? How about the next one? $10 minus $9.59. What is $10 minus $9.59?
Alright, let's do some practice problems. So when you come across these, what is 25% of 100, or 6 is what percent of 12? I like to break it down into fractions. So I'm going to do A and E, and then I'm going to have you do B and F on your own. Then we'll do C and G together, and D and H on your own. Alright, so 25%, we know that we always put percent over 100. I'm going to reduce that 25% down. That's going to give me 1/4 is our fraction. So what is 1/4 of 100? If you don't know that off the top of your head, you could certainly divide 100 divided by 4. Or if you know that 1/4 of 100, when you have 4 quarters, is 25. Let's look at this. 6 is what percent of 12? Well, I'm going to put 6 over 12. And when we reduce that down, it reduces down to half. The reason I'm showing you the steps is because the next ones aren't quite so obvious. So we put 6 over 12, and then we reduce that down to a 1/2. What is 1/2 in percent? Yeah, 1/2 is 50%. But, yeah, so for this one, 6 is what percent of 10? You make a fraction first, reduce it down, and then do what you need to do to multiply it to get to 100. And that will help you figure out what percent that it is. Okay, so you guys do B and F, and then we'll get back to it. Actually, I'm just going to let the video keep going while you guys do B and F. Okay, so now we've got, if that didn't give you enough time, go ahead and pause it and keep working. And we'll come back to it to make sure you did it right. But let's do C and G together, and maybe that will help you figure out if you did B and F correctly. So 25%, we know from A that 25% is 1/4 of 400. We could also say what is 1/4 times 400. I'm going to put that over a 1, make it a fraction. It's 400 over 4. 4 goes into 400 100 times. So 25%, or 1/4 of 400, is 100. 12 is what percent of 120? So I'm going to put my 12 over 120. That's going to give me, 12 goes into 12 one time. I'm going to reduce it down. 12 goes into 120 10 times. 1/10 is what or 12 over 120 is 1/10, which is the same as if we just added a 0 to the top and added a 0 to the bottom. That gives us 10/100ths, or what? 10%. So 12 is 10% of 120. Okay, go ahead and do D and H. Alright, if you're still working, go ahead and just pause it and finish D and H. And I'm going to go back up to B and F, and let's see how you did. Did you get, for 1/4 or 25% of 200, did you get 50? 1/4 of 200 is 50. And that makes sense, right? Because 50, 100, 150, 200. There's 4 50s in 200. 6 is what percent of 10? I'm going to put 6 over 10 and reduce it down. 2 goes into 6 and 10. 2 goes into 6 3 times. 2 goes into 10 5 times. What times 5 will get me 100? Because I'm wanting to get to a 100 to help me figure out what the percent is. Yeah, 20. So 5 times 20 equals 100. And 3 times 20 is 60. So our answer is 60%. Way back here, I guess you could have added a 0 here and here too. So there's a couple ways to get to that. Some of you just know the answer by looking at it. You don't have to do the work or do the steps. But if you're not sure whenever I say to show your work and you're not sure what work to show, here it is. Here's some work. I'm showing you. Make it into a fraction. Reduce that fraction. Multiply it and get it to 100. What is 20% of 50? Alright, so let's put 20 over 100. 20%, we're going to reduce that down. That gives us 2/10, and we reduce that down. That gives us 1/5 times 50, because of is our the clue word there that we multiply by. We multiply when we see the word of. 1 times 50 is 50 over 5. That turns into, 5 goes into 50 how many times? 10. So 10 is 20% of 50. That's one way to do that. 12 is what percent of 16? So we're going to put 12 over 16. We can reduce that down. 4 goes into 12 and 16, so 4 goes into 12 3 times, 4 goes into 16 4 times. So let's just stop there. 3/4 is the same as what percent? When we're talking about money, we're talking about 100, and let's say quarters. So if we had 3 out of 4 quarters, let's count our quarters. 25, 50, 75. So 3/4 is also the same as 75%. So 12 is what percent of 16? 12 is 75% of 16. Alright. Okay, go and do lesson 122 odds, I believe is what I have down for you today. See you later.